This is something that gets thrown my way quite often, so let's dive in.
You want something, go get it. Period.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nicole. If you are new, thanks so much for clicking on today's video. So our topic of the day is keto versus anabolic. I have a whole video that I will link up above and in the description box down below that explains what anabolic is if you have no idea what I'm talking about. But I get thrown the question all the time, Nicole, hey, can you compare keto versus anabolic? Pros, cons, and then a ton of questions you have, particularly with keto and anabolic that I pulled over on Instagram. So I'm going to answer those at the end of the video. So before we get into keto versus anabolic, I want to preface that I have no dislikes, no ill will towards any lifestyle whatsoever. You will never hear me talk down or bash a particular lifestyle. Whatever lifestyle works for you, this is how I preach on my channel and has success for you and your body, since we are all so different and individualized. You go ahead and do what works for you. I'm just going to give you the straight data, facts, and my own personal experience between keto and anabolic, the pros and cons, talk about them, and answer your questions at the end from experience and from the knowledge that I have personally. So let's talk about keto first. I do have my notes here, of course, to make sure I don't forget anything. The mom brain is real. So first off, before we get into keto versus anabolic, one question that I want to kind of cover before we even get into anything is, what lifestyle is best for losing body fat? The answer to that is simple. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what lifestyle that you choose, as long as you are in a caloric deficit, meaning that you are in a calorie deficit, you are burning more calories than you are consuming, you should lose weight. You should lose body fat. If you are doing all the right things and following your macros as best as you can, you should lose weight, lose body fat, no matter if you're doing keto, Weight Watchers, anabolic, carnivore, it doesn't matter. So let's just throw that out there first. If you don't know what keto is, I don't know how, because it was all the rage, particularly back in 2019, 2018 when I first started it. And it has kind of become a little bit industrialized, processed, if you will. In my opinion, there's so many keto labeled products out there. It's unreal. It definitely isn't what it was in the beginning, I feel. It's definitely morphed into something else, but a lot of people are still going back towards it. And again, if it works for you, by all means, do it. So typically keto is anyone that is following a particular lifestyle where they are limiting carbohydrates. So you are having about 20 net carbs or less per day. Some people do net carbs, which is when you take your total carbohydrates and you subtract the fiber from it and get a net count of carbs. Also, sugar alcohols can be deducted from that, which has become a little bit of a problem with all the processed goodies, right? And a lot of people that do keto, I wouldn't necessarily say, I don't want to say the right way, but in a better way, are now using total carbs because of all of the products and things, and it just seems to work best for them. Keto focuses more on a higher fat with the macronutrients versus any other one, so you're consuming a lot more fat for your total calories put in, because you're not going to be consuming the carbs, so you have to either get it from your fat source or your protein source, which I would say most people on keto follow moderate protein. Some people do not, and that's not the way I feel with keto. You definitely need to be eating an adequate amount of protein if you're on keto, and not just all 100% fat, for sure. Protein is so important. Y'all hear me stress that all the time. So on keto, you can do a high keto version, and you can just eat your moderate, which I suggest if you're just doing regular keto. Let's talk about the pros and the cons of keto. So a pro that I wrote down is it's great, and this is what I still promote with keto to clients or anyone that is coming to me for macros or coming for me for meal plans, is if they have a history of diabetes in their family, if they are diabetic, anything like that, epilepsy, If you have any family history or if you know you are one of those things, I highly suggest keto. It's a great lifestyle, a great diet to bring down sugars, to kind of control all that. And it is amazing for that medically. It's also pretty good with the initial weight loss. A lot of people are, I lost so many pounds in so many weeks. Sound like an infomercial, right? I will stress this, that a lot of the initial weight that you are losing with keto isn't fat loss. It's water weight. Think about it. You are not having carbs anymore. Carbs retain and hold water. And when you are eliminating that, you're flushing that out your system. So a lot of that initial weight that you are losing week one is water, not fat. Sorry to burst your bubble. Some negatives that I wrote down is that, of course, keto is a super restrictive type of lifestyle. You are eliminating almost an entire macronutrient from your diet. We have gone from being dependent on carbs and glucose to now being dependent on ketones and having your body fluctuate and go to a whole different fuel source. It's a lot for your body to take in. Trust me, that day one of keto flu that I had back in 2019, your girl thought I was gonna die. Go back and watch my very first keto video. It's also, I feel, unrealistic long term. It was for me, even though I did it almost 3 years. Yes, 3 years. Most people cannot do it for a long time without binging or going to different events and parties and partaking and having, like, I don't want to say relapses, but your body responds in such a negative way when you eliminate something from your diet and you reintroduce it back. It has a highly negative response and you will feel it 10 times more, I feel. So I feel like it's definitely not realistic long term and isn't sustainable for people that know that they're going to occasionally eat some extra carbs. Also, I feel, in my opinion, that it does take longer to build muscle while on keto. I feel like you can lose fat pretty well on keto long term. At least that was in my experience. I got down to a low all-time weight, but I did not gain the muscle mass. I did not get the body recomp, the definition that I wanted when restricting carbohydrates. Once I have switched over, I've seen a major switch in my body, and that's what I'm longing for. So if you are longing for muscle build, a lot of ladies say, I don't want to build muscle, I just want to tone. Ladies, just get it out of your head. Tone means muscle mass. So you're not going to look, I say this all the time, you're not going to look like a bodybuilder overnight. It will take you years upon years in dedication to get to a bodybuilder status. So lifting weights, I can't stress it enough, is important, but while on keto, it definitely takes you longer to get where you want to be if that's your goal with restricting carbohydrates. One other negative that I see a lot of people do on keto is that instead of tracking their overall macros, they are just tracking their net carbs and just eating anything else on site. So we're talking about having too much fat consumption. Fat necessarily doesn't have hardly, when you're eating something that's high fat, it doesn't have a lot of carbohydrates in it. For example, bacon. So there's no carbohydrates in bacon. So some people think they can have a pack or two of bacon per day, which is loaded with fat and calories. Forget about the macronutrients. The overall calories is what's important, right? Yes, it doesn't have any carbs, but you might have eaten 3,000 calories that day when you were only supposed to have 1,700 calories for your weight loss macros. So that becomes a problem too when you aren't really weighing and tracking your food, just going off of net carbs. Yes, hooray, we got under 20 net carbs, but you ate thousands and thousands upon calories, and then you look at the scale and realize why it hasn't went down, number one, or why you're now gaining weight. So that's my little spiel on keto. I have tons of keto information here. I documented my entire 2.5 years while doing it. Most of you guys know, but if you're new, I just wanted to throw that out there. Let's switch gears and go to anabolic. So anabolic's just a fancy, smancy word for eating and focusing more on high protein. Again, I have that 101 video I will link down below for you guys. Not only does it focus on protein, it tends to be a little lower on the fat. Now we get about the same amount of fat that we need, your body needs for your brain function, hormone functions, all the things. And that's allotted in your macronutrients, but some people can go too low on that and that's not good. So what I try to do with any clients or anybody doing macros and myself is to make sure we get that particular number and we hit that number or get close to that number, if not exceed it each and every day to get all the benefits from eating our healthy fats. I get the question all the time is how much protein should I focus on no matter what lifestyle you're doing, guys. It doesn't matter if it's keto, anabolic, Weight Watchers, I don't care. You need to try to focus on getting 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you are in maintenance mode, so if I'm 150 pounds, I'm gonna strive to get 150 grams of protein per day because that's my maintenance protein goal. If you are in weight loss mode, let's say you are 230 pounds and you are striving to be 175 pounds, no, you do not have to eat 230 grams of protein because that's where you are now. You wanna try to hit that protein goal for your weight loss protein, which would be 175 grams of protein at that point. So I get that misconception all the time. Do I have to eat what I weigh now? Eat what you want to weigh or where your goal is. Unless you're at maintenance, then you need to eat where you are now. Positives with anabolic and negatives with anabolic. So it's great to lose weight and also build muscle. Yes, you can lose weight while eating anabolic, while eating balanced, while eating high protein. For some reason, and I have preached this to the rooftops, y'all are still not understanding that you can lose weight. Again, it doesn't have to be anabolic, keto, carnivore, Weight Watchers. It could be anything, Mediterranean, as long as you're in a caloric deficit. So yes, to answer that question that I get all the time, and some people think that the only reason why we're doing anabolic is to build and to gain weight. That's not the case. I just did my mini cut and lost a significant amount of weight in like 30 days doing balanced high protein approach. So if you are in a caloric deficit, you will lose body fat. Building muscle, like I was mentioning, it is perfect for that because you are eating adequate amounts of protein and you are also eating not, I wouldn't say high carb. Some days I'm eating 150 total carbs, guys. That is nothing in the grand scheme of things when we're talking about 20 net carbs and I'm eating 120 total carbs some days. Now, some days I will eat 200 total carbs, but I usually don't exceed that 200 total carb amount, which some people are eating 300-400 plus total carbs per day. So I feel that in the anabolic approach, since you're focusing so much on protein, you're still not eating crazy amounts of carbohydrates. So again, don't be scared of the carbs. They are your friend, especially when having energy and building muscle in the gym. Protein is more satiating. When you're having these high protein meals, you're gonna feel fuller, longer in between meals and not wanna go for the snacking stuff in between. Is snacking okay to have occasionally throughout the day? Absolutely. You see me do it and I have a purpose for doing it most of the time, but just mindlessly snacking, you're not gonna wanna do that because you're gonna be full from these high protein meals. You're gonna have more energy from the carbs like I was mentioning, which is going to help you in your workouts, which is gonna help you progressive overload, which is key, we talk about all the time. So when you are not getting the amount of fuel that you need for your body, that's gonna perform in the gym. There is zero restriction with anabolic. So it has a fancy name, but it's just a balanced way of eating, focusing on protein. There's no restriction. If I wanna have a fun size bag of M&Ms, little 80 calorie fun size bag of M&Ms at night, I can allot it in my macros. If I'm tracking everything, no, I'm not just eating straight from the bag like this and M&Ms and watching Netflix. I'm tracking a portion weighed bag of M&Ms and I'm gonna have it. Now, is it something that is the best for us? Do you hear me saying that M&Ms are healthy? Do you hear me saying that they are the best for you? Do you hear me saying that I think you should eat them on a daily? Absolutely not. But when we restrict things so much, especially if you were coming from an overweight spot from the majority of your life, it's just gonna snowball mentally. And then when you get those things exposed in front of you at parties and events, that's when you go ham, you go balls to the wall, and then it just spirals out of control. Whereas my approach is where if you were to have these things occasionally throughout the week, tracked, you are still going to be on track with your macros, lose weight, and then when those events happen, you're not gonna be as tempted. One negative I will say, speaking of those certain treats, is that anabolic are a balanced approach with eating everything, if you're just tracking it, could be a trigger if you have struggled with binge eating, if you're struggling with particular foods that you just can't control yourself with, if you are not in a stage of your journey where you can reel it in and just track and have one portion and be okay because you're gonna go back to the bag or back to the ice cream, whatever the case, then that might not be the approach for you. Just know that you won't be able to do that on anabolic. You'll have to make sure that you keep those things out the house. Same thing like keto. So with keto, you can't have hardly anything with carbs in it. So you have to eliminate that from your day to day with seeing it. So same thing with anabolic. If you know that something particular that you loved before that you can't just weigh and track and have on a daily because you will go cray, you just need to take a back seat and eliminate it for a while until you get in a better mindset where you can incorporate it on a daily. So that is the difference between keto and anabolic. Let's get to some of your questions about the two lifestyles because they were really good. First question is from Jenny. She's saying, for someone starting from scratch, would I recommend keto first? I have another similar question like this. So if you are new and you don't know all my backstory, I did not lose my initial weight doing keto. I was 230 pounds overweight all my life, and I lost my 65 pounds in 6 months. How did I do it? I have a whole video about that too. I'll link down below. But I did it basically with eating in a balanced approach. Did I track macros? That really wasn't a thing back then. Did I weigh things out? No. I just used a particular plate. I portion controlled, and I did eliminate things that I knew were a trigger for me. I did not have them at all because I just knew I couldn't handle it from eating those things and spiraling for the majority of my life, and exercise 7 days a week doing cardio, which I don't recommend, but you know what, it was effective and I got the weight off initially. So as far as the question, someone starting from scratch, would I recommend keto first? Absolutely not. The only time I ever recommend keto is if you need it medically. I recommend a balanced way of eating to everybody. And yes, it's not a one size fits all still. We still might have to tweak and adjust things like I was talking about. If you are someone that has triggers, a history of binge eating, all the things, we can try to, focus on those things and make it best suitable for you to where you're going to get the best optimal results. But I definitely do not suggest keto unless you need it medically. I think it's something that people see a lot of success with initially, but then they fall off, go back to eating the way that they were, and they gain more weight than what they started with. Do you have any cravings on keto versus anabolic? So someone wanted to know the different cravings that you might have. I'm gonna be very honest with you guys. I don't feel myself having cravings with either lifestyle. I've always been you hear me preach, never skip dessert. I've always had a sweet tooth no matter what lifestyle or any type of dieting I was doing. So I've always incorporated to make sure that we had something to satisfy that no matter what lifestyle I was living. On keto, I definitely ate all the keto treats and sweets and stuff like that and longed for it every single day. So I won't say on keto I didn't want those things, because if you go back and watch my entire journey, I ate sweet keto stuff all the time, made keto stuff all the time. On anabolic, it's the same way, but I don't feel like I crave it so much all the time. It's just something I incorporated on a daily, so I don't have to crave it and I don't have to go buck wild when I see it. Tina wants to know, did you see more weight loss with keto versus anabolic? And everyone keeps telling her to go back to keto instead of a balanced approach. So with more weight loss, keto versus anabolic, when I started keto, I honestly didn't have a ton of weight to lose. I had already lost all my initial weight. I had just gained about 10 pounds after being a little bit more comfortable with having Waylon, my youngest, and noticed that I needed to make a change. And I had some other medical stuff going on with my skin, as you guys know, and I thought keto might have been the way to help clear that up. I feel like I have seen more weight loss with anabolic, to be honest, especially in a short amount of time. That little mini cut that we did for the Road to Reunion series here on my channel, it kind of blew my mind how much weight we lost in a short amount of time and how much like tone and definition we had going forward with doing our program with eating high protein and with incorporating carbohydrates. So to answer your question, I feel like you can lose this. It depends on the person. It depends on the person too. Some people might respond great to keto, great to anabolic, carnivore, Weight Watchers, and some people might not. None of these lifestyles are suitable for everybody. That's why you don't see everybody doing the exact same thing. But I will say, do what's best for you and what's going to get you the optimal results in the long run. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Don't compare yourself to other people. Do what's best for you, whatever lifestyle that is. This is a great question. What's the best way to transition from keto to anabolic? So I did do a transition from keto to anabolic. You guys know I started with doing low carb instead of just going straight into anabolic all the way. And that's my suggestion to you guys. So if you were doing 20 net carbs and you've been doing that for a long time, up it to 75, up it to 100, and keep going and see how your body adjusts. Your body's gonna have a major response in the beginning to incorporating carbs if you restricted them for so long. With me restricting mine for almost 3 years, it took months. It took months before my body finally got adjusted to eating all the things. I know red beans and rice, it's a staple here in Southern Louisiana. I ate them a couple of times after I transitioned, and every time it just was not a good fit for me. It was horrible experience, but I incorporated them and I waited forever to try them again. And I incorporated them a couple weeks ago and had zero effect. So it's just gonna take a while. Know that when you're transitioning, when you restricted anything, if you've been dairy free forever, it's going to be horrible when you try to incorporate dairy back because you haven't had it in your system. It's the same thing with keto and going to a balanced approach. What is a good percentage of macros from protein to build muscle? So like I mentioned earlier, make sure you're getting 1 gram of protein per pound of weight you have. If you are maintenance, do that. If you want to lose weight, hit that protein goal for your weight loss goal. If I were starting over, would I still do keto at the beginning? Again, I didn't do keto at the beginning when I lost my initial weight from 230 pounds, but I'm assuming this question is from when I started keto back in 2019 here on my channel. Would I do it again, or would I do a more balanced approach? Keto did wonders for me. It opened my eyes to a lot of food things, nutrition labels. I will always be grateful for my ketogenic experience. I did it way too long was the problem. I should have only done it no more than 6 months and switched back to a more balanced approach. And I would be sitting here with way more advantage as far as the physique that I want for my body, muscle build, all the things if I would have done that. It definitely set me back. And I had to switch over to anabolic and learn a lot and work really hard to get where I am now. So I would just blow my mind where we would be right now if I would have started with a more balanced approach and focusing on progressive overload and weightlifting in the beginning of keto even. I didn't do that in the beginning of keto. It wasn't until maybe almost year 2 of keto where I was really getting into the weightlifting and really dialing it in and learning more and doing it the right way instead of just bopping around in the gym and doing whatever I wanted. I'm still living and learning for sure. I will always be an open book and will always learn and spread the knowledge with what I've learned, positives and failures with you guys, in hopes that you don't have to go through the same thing I did. But would I do keto again in the very beginning? If I could go back in time, no, I wouldn't. I would do a different approach so I would be in the place where I want to be going forward right now, if that makes sense. How can I have the same weight loss on anabolic? We mentioned that before. If you're in a calorie deficit, you are going to lose weight no matter what lifestyle you do. I do custom macros for you guys. That is always linked down below. So if that's something that you're interested in, I'd be happy to help you out to figure that out, what's best for you. But it doesn't matter, guys. You just gotta be in a calorie deficit and you gotta move your body. And then this is the last thing I want to touch on. It really struck a chord with me when she wrote this. Shout out to my girl Karen. Carbs are not the reason we're fat. Overconsumption of calories is. She cannot be more spot on with that. When we are demonizing carbs, for my keto audience out there, when we are demonizing carbs, it's not carbs in a general statement that got us to be overweight. I can tell you right now, I didn't get to be 230 pounds by binging on a banana tree. I got to be 230 pounds because I was binging on Little Debbie snack cakes, which by the way, everybody is blowing up the Little Debbie snack trees in everybody's face. Look, let me tell you, Little Debbie, she a bitch, okay? And we all know it. We all know it out there. She the devil, and she is always getting us on every occasion. And look, can you have one of those for the holiday season and get your fix? Yes, I'm all about balance, moderation, you know. But don't buy all that stuff if you know it's gonna be a trigger for you guys, and have it sitting and looking at you in your face, because more than likely you're gonna eat it. You're gonna make an excuse because it's the holidays, I should have it, I deserve it, all the things. You can enjoy things and still not go haywire. But the overconsumption of calories, overall food, is what is causing you to stall out or gain weight. On keto, you could be eating all the things that you think are healthy. Just because something is labeled as healthy or good for us doesn't mean we can't gain weight on it by over consuming it. I can gain all kinds of weight by eating all these salads every single day, by adding all of the extra fixins and toppings on them because it's thousands and thousands of calories. But I ate healthy, Nicole. I don't know why I'm gaining weight or why I'm not losing. I ate a healthy salad today. How many tablespoons of dressing did you put on the salad? How many toppings? How much bacon, cheese, all the things? That salad you thought was healthy is now a 1,000-calorie salad. So let me tell you, it can happen by even eating things that are good for us. We have to be cognizant on what we are consuming. So many of you guys are not using a food scale. You're not tracking your macros. You think that you are in a deficit and you're really in a surplus. And I have a lot of ladies that think that they are hitting their macros and they are way under and not getting the nutrition that they need to fuel their body in the gym and build muscle and get their metabolism going in rev to actually go forward and lose the weight. So it's a whole crazy vicious cycle, and it's all scientific and crazy, I know, and a lot of people need help with it. And I have learned so much over time, and like I said, continuously learning on a daily. Take it from me, someone that has been through this for a long time. People are out there to help you not go through the same mistakes that they did on their journey. And that's what this whole channel is for me to spread knowledge of what I have been through, what I'm going through, and what I'm gonna go through with all the things, so you don't have to waste your time doing as well. And hopefully it helps you get where you need to be a little bit sooner on your health journey. Calorie deficit, guys, that's key. Keto versus anabolic, whatever floats your boat. But let me tell you, you don't need a fancy smancy diet title to lose weight. Keto, anabolic, Weight Watchers, you just need to be in a calorie deficit, move your body, doesn't matter. And no fancy title of any sort is going to eliminate your problem. You have to look at yourself in the mirror, and you have to have the willpower, the discipline, and the consistency to make it work long term. None of these lifestyles are a quick fix. You got to commit to one, show up each and every day, put in the work, and then you'll be able to see results in the long run. That's gonna do it for today's video. I hope it was informative. I've had a lot of you guys ask me questions about keto and anabolic. Go and check out that 101 anabolic video down below, and my initial weight loss of 85 pounds. If you never saw those videos, I will link them down below for you guys. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy today's video, please give it a huge thumbs up. That helps me out so much. And if you are new, make sure to hit all the bells and whistles. I love to have you here. Y'all have an awesome day and an awesome week. Leave comments in the comment section below, questions of anything that we did not cover or something that has sparked a question, so that way I can answer it in the comment section, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye, y'all.